Why do bad things happen to good people? God answered this question for me a really long time ago. He has pushed me to share it ever since. And I have to be really quick because I'm about to go teach jazzercise. So many of my followers know my story. Many years ago, in a span of about 5 months, the father of my children, my ex husband, passed away very unexpectedly when my kids were little. My mom was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. She was the closest person to me, the closest person to my kids. We thought she was going to be dead very, very soon. My boyfriend of a year and a half broke up with me. He was a dismissive avoidant and he couldn't handle my stress and basically let me go. Then I became, from the stress, physically disabled with chronic vestibular migraine. I could not work. I could not take care of my kids. I was at beyond rock bottom in my life. And I remember being so dang angry with God. I grew up Catholic, no offense to Catholics. This is not about Catholicism. I just didn't have any real faith. I kind of believed in God, but I didn't know God. I didn't know the character of God. And I got on my knees and I yelled at God and I said, "Why would you do this to me? My entire life, I have done nothing but try to be a good person. I've been kind. I've been loyal. I have lifted up people when I could. I have helped people when I could. I have given everything I could to other people, and I have been nothing but abused and hurt and treated like absolute crap. And now I'm sick and I've lost everybody that's important to me. And I want to die, but I can't because I have kids." Then I had a chance encounter with someone who told me about Jesus. I rejected it at first. I didn't want to hear it, but she convinced me to just spend the next couple of months seeking the character of God, and I would get the answers that I needed. So out of absolute desperation, that is what I did. I listened to sermons. I listened to Tom Bradford explain the Old Testament to me because, oh my gosh, I had such a bass backwards view of who God was. I had no idea the character of God. I had misinterpreted him. I had no idea. I was so, so wrong in so many of my beliefs. And God promised He would reveal the answer to me over time, and He did, and I want to share it with you loud and proud. Listen, all faiths are welcome in my practice. No faith is welcome in my practice. I do not push my beliefs on anyone, but I do share them freely. You have to understand that God gave us free will. He does not in any way, shape, or form interrupt that free will, no matter what we use that free will to choose. Okay? He did not want his children to be forced or coerced into loving him. The greatest gift that he gave us is the ability to love freely without manipulation, without force. And so, because of that free will, we have an enemy, Satan, who is active and alive and meddling in this world like you wouldn't even believe. And we can use our free will to align with the enemy. And there is a gigantic butterfly effect if we align with God or we align with the enemy. Our alignment travels far and wide in that butterfly effect. So God speaks to our spirit, it manifests in our thoughts. The enemy speaks to our spirit, it manifests in our thoughts. To me, the subconscious mind and the spirit are one and the same, okay? Now, we can buy into the thoughts of fear, rejection, accusation, hatred, unlovingness, pride, offense, jealousy, you name it. When you do that, you are turned towards the enemy and in alignment with the enemy. You're stressing your body, you're stressing your mind. That produces disease, okay? And it produces really poor psychological health. And when we are turned towards the enemy, we cannot receive the blessings of God. We're blocking them. We're turned away from them. Because whenever the enemy does something to hurt us, God immediately starts pulling strings on the back end, trying to redeem it for us for our good. But we can continue to reject that over and over and over again. The enemy works through others to hurt us, and that ripples far and wide. Okay? None of the bad things on this earth, no disease, no you know death, no, nothing of evil comes from God. It doesn't. Okay? God simply can't interrupt it because that would be interrupting our free will. And so the reason that bad things happen is because we choose to participate with the enemy or someone else did and it rippled back to us. Okay? And that is not something that God interrupts. It is free will. But what God says is if you turn towards him, you reject the thoughts of the enemy and the workings of the enemy in your life, you would not believe the redemption that takes place. I mean, he poured blessings onto my life. I went from broke to wealthy. I went from mentally ill to very mentally stable. I went from very physically ill to healthy. I went from alone to finding the love of my life. My mom recovered from cancer by turning to God. God can do amazing things in your life, but you have to turn towards Him, seek His character, and not just turn towards Him. You have to realize and understand where the enemy is working in your life and stand in authority in the name of Jesus against him.